Your jaw will drop. The world is changing, and GLP-1 drugs have provided something that our society now desperately craves, and that's zero work for big and fast results.
I think there's a real high likelihood you're going to see at least one of these three go bankrupt next year, and that's going to be Applebee's, Chili's, Olive Garden. I think that's a last gasp of air. I think they're in trouble. When it's completely accepted and there's no embarrassing stigma to it, you're going to see 60 to 90% usage. So what's the ripple effect of each of these trends? That's the thing you should be thinking about. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Trainwreck Show. My name's Perry Belcher. I'm the unstoppable force of sales and marketing. I'm your host along with Emma Rainville. She is the immovable object that is operations, and this is where we duke it out. Normally I kick her ass pretty hard. Just if you've not been here before, just so you'll know how usually the pecking order works.
Usually people wonder how we made it out of here alive.
So what do you want to talk about today?
I am really excited about today because something near and dear to your heart. During your predictions call, which by the way, if you haven't seen, run to YouTube right after you finish watching this episode and type in 2026 predictions. Perry Belcher is absolutely incredible. Perry's done predictions every year for us, particularly for our masterminds. The past 2 years, he's opened it up to the public. And if you go back and you look at 2025 and what he predicted versus what came true, your jaw will drop. But 2026 predictions, you talked a lot about Ozempic, and I wanted to jump into that because you said Ozempic rewrites everything you know about fashion, food, and dating. You've been on Ozempic for how many years now? You keep going on.
I've been on for 25 years now. And so far, I've lost 4 pounds. It's not just Ozempic either. It's really GLP-1 drugs.
GLP-1 drugs. It's changing the face of everything.
And it really is.
And one of your predictions, particularly around another industry and how they're going to insert themselves in the other industry. No one else is thinking about it. But I'd love to talk about Ozempic and what you think is coming for 2026 because the world is changing.
Yeah.
And GLP-1 drugs have provided something that our society now desperately craves. And that's zero work for big results.
Yeah.
And fast.
And there are a whole thing of like peptide bros out there too. So basically they're antagonist drugs. So what they do is it makes your body create more of something that it already creates naturally. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Rather than talking about Ozempic and GLP-1s as what they're going to do for you medically, I want to talk a lot more about the ripple effect of them.
Okay.
Right? So there's a butterfly effect to everything. So if you can understand the butterfly effects that are 2 and 3 degrees out, you typically can be very profitable from that. But give you a couple examples, and these may or may not make you money. GLP drugs are responsible for increased profitability of airlines this year because we weigh less. It costs the planes less fuel.
Shut the front door.
It costs the airlines less fuel dollars to transport us from point A to point B because we weigh less.
Yes, airlines are exploring and estimating significant fuel savings from GLP-1 weight loss drugs like Ozempic. Get this, with the suggestion of millions in annual revenue savings due to lighter passenger loads.
Yep.
Though some analysts question if the impact will be large enough to matter for shorter flights.
But there's a lot
millions.
There's a lot of other ripple effects of GLP-1 drugs. Not coincidentally.
Not everybody's making money off of them.
Well, get this. No. A lot of people are losing money.
Right, that's what I'm
saying. So I'll talk about 2 industries that are getting killed right now.
Food, obviously.
Food, particularly as it pertains to middle sit-down restaurants. In my talk, I think there's a real high likelihood you're going to see at least one of these three go bankrupt next year. And that's going to be Applebee's, Chili's, or Olive Garden. Those groups of restaurants, the ones that have better financial strength, are going to stay longer.
Darden Restaurants, I believe, and this predictions, just announced that in 2026 they're coming out with on their menu. What do you think?
Half portions for people on GLP-1 drugs.
It's specific GLP-1 menu.
Yeah.
Specific and that's part of the Olive Garden.
They're having to, but I think that's a last gasp of air. I think they're in trouble. I think they're in big
Yeah?
trouble. Experiential dining is up. 5-star dining
Right.
is actually up, and it's largely unaffected because people go to those dinners.
Because they're eating so much less they can afford to.
Right. But right. And fast food is starting to come down in price. They're starting to work the fast food prices down because they got in trouble too. But I think they're going to make it. I think the middle's going to get killed. One of the bigger areas is alcohol consumption. Because what people don't know, these GLP-1 drugs like Ozempic, they're satiators. So they make you more satisfied with whatever in your life. So you tend to gamble less.
I know.
You tend to smoke less. You tend to drink less. So the GLP-1 drugs are satiating us, but it also kind of turns you into a lump in a corner. You're not very interested in much of anything, which is really weird.
Really?
Yeah, really. But what's really interesting in the GLP-1 drugs, where there are a great deal of opportunity right now, people that take GLP-1 drugs don't eat very much. Their nutritional values go way down. There's a big opportunity.
With muscle, right?
Yeah, there's a big opportunity in selling supplementation to people on GLP-1 drugs and riding that wave. Because we're about to hit tipping point, right? If we're at 20 and 30% right now, that means that we're hitting tipping point. We interrupt this pod to bring you this really special announcement. You need to go right now. Well, maybe they want to go right now. Want to stop?
No, at the end. We don't want to have them stop.
Go to trainwreckshow.com. There's lots of bots there, GPT bots that do things for you, that do a lot of your work. So you don't have to work so much and drink more beer. The episode archives are over there. There's all of our resources, worksheets, workbooks. Everything that we've done that we give away is over there. Go get it right now. There's a lot of resources there. Way more resources than you get when you buy a lot of communities, I think.
And don't forget to like and subscribe so that you can catch every episode as soon as it hits. We'll send you a notification.
It doesn't mean you're liking Emma, by the way, because I know that slows us down on our likes. You can just click and say, I like Perry. You don't have to like Emma. It works the same way. When 30% of America owned a VCR, almost everybody in America owned a VCR 2 years later. When 30% of Americans own a microwave oven, almost everybody had a microwave oven 2 years later. So there's a tipping point, about 30%, right? When it's completely accepted and there's no embarrassing stigma to it, and you don't want to tell anybody that you're taking it and nobody cares anymore, you're going to see 60 to 90% usage, which is why I called Novo Nordisk, one of the bigger makers of these drugs. I call them as one of my best opportunities in 2026 for growth. And literally, swear to God, 4 days later, they brought out the first semaglutide pill. And their stock went to the moon.
That was 2025, not 2026.
No, 2026.
Oh, okay.
They just brought out the first one approved for U.S. distribution. They've been selling it in other places. You can buy it in Mexico. But it's a semaglutide tablet. You just take one a day. Getting on the peripheral of the wave of maybe you have a teledoc business where you sell these things to people who are trying to quit drinking, or where people trying to quit smoking. The off-label uses are allowable with a doctor's prescription. Secondly, they're largely do no harm drugs. So they're very safe. You're going to see them become more and more available. I think there's going to be a whole class of over-the-counter GLP-1 drugs coming in 2026. But supplementation for three major things. One, supplements to help people that battle nausea from these things, because some people do. Supposedly the pill causes more nausea than the shots do. Two, people who are having sagging skin, Ozempic face, Ozempic body, where you lose weight so rapidly that your skin elasticity can't keep up. So you need much more collagen, right, in your system. And then lastly, nutrition. Your nutrition gets killed because you're not consuming enough calories in a day to keep up. So you need things like trace minerals. You need more proteins in your body. So the peripheral around this for supplementation is a great first piece. A great second piece, very interestingly, is fashion, right? Almost everybody that gets on GLP-1 drugs within the next year will triple the amount of money they spend on clothing. Isn't that crazy? Because we all redo our wardrobes as we lose weight.
I recently saw there were a lot of like rental companies for clothes, like Runway.
That makes sense.
And so they started doing rentals as you decrease in weight. Don't buy all new wardrobes.
Oh, wow.
Wait and so you can rent clothes during your weight loss journey.
These are just some ideas that will be butterflied. There's a whole new resurgence of meal prep programs, right? So the Blue Aprons of the world, these companies have all went broke. This has been one of the worst experiments in the history of web selling ever, because it should make so much sense, but it doesn't.
Hungry Root and all that. That's what you
They've almost all went broke.
Really?
Because of freight.
Right.
So what's happening now? Blue Apron is the first one to do it, and they may pull out, but they're probably too far gone investment-wise. They're putting local installations in, and they're prepping the food locally and delivering it locally because they can reasonably deliver it. You can't put those styrofoam containers in FedEx and ship them for, they're going to charge you $30 to ship. For me or you, they're going to charge us $60.
Right.
But for them at a big discount, they're going to pay $30 to ship food from Seattle to Austin. But when you can make it in Austin and run a van route delivering it, and you can literally go, you know how they're selling it? Door to door.
Makes sense.
We want to drop you off a sample of our meals, and you can let us know if you like them, and here's some coupons and whatever to get on our meal plans. And these people that are on Ozempic, they need to eat very nutrient-dense foods.
Right, and that's not what they're doing.
In very small
They're eating
portions.
the same food that they always ate that got them there, but just in smaller portions.
Right. Yeah. But now they're still losing weight, but they're not getting nutritional value.
Right.
They're losing
because they're
muscle
eating
mass.
fried
They're
foods,
losing
French fries,
bone
pizza.
density.
Right.
They're losing all this stuff.
Right.
And more sugars. The one thing that they can't find that God, I'm waiting for one to come out. Ozempic does not satiate sugar cravings. It actually intensifies them.
Really?
Which sucks for me because I love
You
sweets.
love sugar, yeah, you love sweets.
But anyway, those are some of the things.
I was going to just tell you
ripple
about
effects.
the freight really quickly. You know how a lot of, and kind of off topic, but just to what you were saying, Michael's, At Home, all these local stores, you know how they're doing the delivery online now? Uber.
Yeah.
Uber Courier. We ordered a Christmas tree for our bedroom at home, and it got delivered by a freaking Uber driver a couple hours later.
On top of that, something you and I saw, I don't know if you remember it or not, but the HVAC plumbing and all that,
yeah.
they've partnered now with DoorDash. So when
Wow. Don't send the guy who's making $95 an hour to
back
pick it
to
up.
pick up the part,
Pull the damn parts out and have
they DoorDash it straight to the home.
gosh. Well, the commercial, yeah.
No, they're
They're
the
home
technician
services.
is at the house. At your house, comes to work. on
I'm
your
I'm
thing.
used to commercial. I come from commercial, so instantly I'm thinking
Yeah.
a restaurant.
They deliver it to wherever.
But think about this: a restaurant gets their kitchen pulled apart. Lunch rush is coming.
Yeah.
The $95 tech, instead of finishing pulling the part out, no longer
has to
drives,
drive across town, get the part, and come back.
come back for 2 hours on
Right.
the clock. He's preparing
They're
it,
DoorDashing
and
it.
they're just DoorDashing it. Only takes an hour because it's one way.
How brilliant is that?
That is. Why didn't I think of that?
I don't know. And last thing I'll throw in about Ozempic and GLP-1 drugs. Trust me on this. Here's your next big block of GLP-1 drugs for 2025. And I don't know where the legal's going to fall on this, so I don't want to say. Pets. Pet GLP-1s.
In no way is Perry telling you to buy GLP-1 drugs from some freaking marketer and inject your pet.
I could spend the next 3 hours talking about how Ozempic. See, here's the thing you guys need to pay attention to. The lesson to be taken out of this, I hope, is there a big game changer in Ozempic? Yeah. The last game changer in GLP-1 drugs is, guess what? We're all going to live a lot longer. So you've got a storage problem. So these things go together. The silver tsunami issues, I think this whole thing of quitting at 65 is going to be long past. I think you'll see people work until 70, 75 years older because they can. They're going to be healthier. They're going to live longer. And it's going to be impossible to sustain it. But people are going to live longer with GLP-1 drugs. We're all going to be healthier. And this is the beginning of these things being figured out.
We're going to die sooner. We'll see.
Yeah. So pets and old people. So what's the ripple effect of each of these trends? That's the thing you should be thinking about. Try to extrapolate out what happens when the pets live longer. What happens when people live longer? What happens when everyone's skinny and are they going to make the seats on airplanes smaller? Probably. What are future problems that you could predict that you could begin solving now? So
That's
hopefully you
really,
get that.
really, really smart. Thank you, Perry. That was
You're welcome.
incredible. If you enjoyed this episode of Trainwreck, awesome.
If you didn't, if you don't chew Big Red, yeah.
that right there. Visit us at trainwreckshow.com. We have lots of freebies in there, all kinds of information. all kinds of stuff you can use right now. To
We're
help
adding
you.
a bunch of new stuff right now to the repository over there of free goodies for you guys. There's custom GPTs in there. There's checklists in there. There's software tools. There's all kinds of
templates, all kinds of stuff. So go in and help yourself. Thank you, Perry.
Thanks. See you next time.